state-funded video game warns children they'll be treated like terrorists for questioning mass migration. Because, mass migration is a good thing, A government-funded video game tells teenagers they could be reported to counter-terrorism authorities for questioning mass migration. Pathways is an interactive program aimed at school pupils aged 11 to 18. Gotta indoctrinate them while they're young. The Home Office's Prevent Counter-Terror scheme partially funds the game. In other words, we're basically paying for it. Players guide white teenage characters through scenarios where they must avoid being flagged for extreme right-wing ideology after discussing migration online, even though the good majority of the working classes of England do consider it a legitimate issue in this country right now. But don't you ask questions right now. Characters risk prevent referrals if they interact with groups spreading quote-unquote harmful ideological messages or attend protests opposing the erosion of British values. So just remember, you can only attend protests for causes in which we align with. The game even frames researching immigration statistics online in a negative light. Why is that exactly? Is there a certain pattern in the statistics that you don't want the general public to be noticing? Just curious. Oh wait, let's be careful now. We don't want to get curious. Curiosity is a terrorist act, as we all know. That was a close one. The game refers to Charlie using they pronouns regardless of which sex the player picks. And I've heard the speculation about this before. Some people have said that this was to save money and to be lazy, so they didn't have to record or write out more dialogue for the game. While at the same time, they're also getting the brownie points from using they pronouns. Because God forbid a child be a he or a she these days. Players face multiple choice questions throughout, with options colour-coded red for bad and green for good. From playthroughs that I've seen on YouTube, everyone's pretty much been speedrunning the red. An in-game meter tracks how extreme the character's behaviour becomes. Early choices include whether to download a video from a gaming platform or to tell an adult about it. This question was a very strange one. Usually you should know, most kids already know to not download anything because it could contain viruses. You never know what content is going to be in that video should you download it. However though, when you play through the game, it doesn't actually tell you what the content actually is. Charlie encounters a video claiming Muslim men are stealing the places of British veterans in emergency accommodation, and the government is betraying white British people and we need to take back control of our country. This is another hilarious part of the playthrough of the game. If anyone watches that, are they supposed to agree with it and assume it's good? I don't think anyone watching this wants to see our ex-servicemen being rendered homeless in the place of illegal immigrants. I can only assume that that's the case. They want us to be okay with that. They don't want us asking questions about such a subject. It's something that would make anyone infuriated. Players have the option to scroll past or engage directly with the post. Choosing engagement triggers a message saying, unfortunately, Charlie didn't realise that some of the groups they were engaging in were actually illegal, because God forbid you disagree with ex-servicemen, ex-army veterans being on the streets. It's illegal to disagree with that now. However, selecting the option to research the topic is also portrayed negatively. The character sees research papers, statistics and protest information about the quote-unquote replacement of white people. Again, where's the lie? Charlie receives an invitation to join a group called Action for Britain. The character can also attend a protest against the changes that Britain has been through in the last few years and the erosion of British values. Attending the protest nearly results in arrest, with the character discovering it focuses more about racism and anti-immigration than British values. If Charlie makes moderately poor choices, a teacher refers them to Prevent for counselling and workshops. Again, all this just because Charlie chose to gather his own information and do his own research and establish his own worldview outside of what the government tells him. East Yorkshire councils develop pathways with government support amid local concerns about immigration and tensions over migrant hotels. Hull saw protests at a migrant hotel in 2024 following Axel Rudakabana's murders. Rudakabana had been referred to Prevent 3 times. Almost like it doesn't particularly work. Home Office figures from 2024 show Prevent received nearly a fifth of its referrals for right-wing radicalisation, compared to just 13% for Islamist cases. MI5 itself said Islamist threats comprised of 75% of its counter-terror workload. The game is designed by Shoutout UK, or Souk, which claims to provide impartial political and media literacy training. Matteo Bergamini, Souk's founder and CEO, said, "Teaching media literacy ensures that all those impacted by our programs leave with the lifelong tools and skills to safeguard themselves from these threats. The threats of knowing what's going on within our country and the threats that could come in doing your own research." A Home Office spokesman said Prevent had diverted nearly 6,000 people away from violent ideologies, stopping terrorists and keeping our country safe. We provide funding to local authorities to tackle a range of threats, including Islamist extremism and extreme right wing. These projects are designed to target local radicalisation risks and are created and delivered independently of government. We are furious at the level of illegal migration, which is why the Home Secretary has set out for the most sweeping changes to cut illegal migration in a generation to restore order and control our borders. So, like I said, I've watched a number of YouTubers who have gone through playthroughs of this game. I watched Asmongold's video and I also watched a bit of Sargon of Akkad's video also. But hey, this game was made to try and tell youngsters not to watch those kinds of YouTubers. You watched a Sargon of Akkad video? Oh, you're on the watch list now, matey. This game is nothing but mere propaganda. It's designed to try and scare youngsters into not asking questions, just comply with everything that's going on. Again, like the other case that was shown earlier, the case with the migrants being placed in accommodation over ex-servicemen. Again, that's another thing to be reasonably angry about. However, this game depicts you as being extreme or a radicalised individual if you dare hold such a viewpoint. You know, you should be accepting those migrants over those servicemen, you bigot. However, thankfully, despite the messages that the game is trying to send, nobody, from what I know, is buying it, and they can see it for how stupid it actually is. But anyway, gentlemen, this has been Lord Flashheart. Make sure to rate, comment, favourite, share and subscribe, and I will see you again. Cheerio!